Good morning, everyone. We're back. We're live. You got the Aired Out podcast from the ASB Financial Studios and Fly on the Wall Productions. Brand new day. The sun is shining. Roger Hill's going to say, or is already saying this morning, that we've got a beautiful day ahead. Get out and enjoy it. Button up those outdoor projects if you have any. This is definitely high tide to do it. Get ready because the cold weather is on the backside of this for sure. It is Veterans Day. I've got JR, who's sitting right next to me, and I want to just give me the phonetics here on the last name.
Rehbach.
Rehbach.
It's German.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Rehbach. How are you? People
Good.
call you JR.
They call me JR.
You're a...
I'm not a junior.
No,
First
you're not
initial, last initial.
I was chatting with Ron Tomlin about that, and he's like, just trust me. Everyone calls him JR. What's going on, man? I want to thank you so much for coming in here on Veterans Day. I just met you a short time ago. I think it was a week ago or two. Mm-hmm. Ron says great things about you. Chuck Barney says the same. You're on the Barrie Area Veterans Council, of course.
I am.
Good morning and happy Veterans Day. And I'm glad you're here so much. This is wonderful. You've never done this before.
Never,
right?
JD. Never. It's the first time.
Never been on a podcast.
Never been on a podcast.
That's cool.
I've been interviewed once years ago for an organization that we did a motorcycle run for. But other than that, this is my first experience.
Where do you live? Right around here?
Now I live over in Middlesex.
In Middlesex.
Yep.
Let's. I'll say this before we even get started this morning. Let's do this again.
We'll have to, definitely.
Because anyone who watches or listens to the podcast knows that we are particularly passionate about the elderly and veterans, both. Not necessarily in that order, but right. We're very passionate about our veterans, and we talk about them all the time. Raylene and I have always said to Mel McKnight, to anyone, that if any veteran, anytime has anything to say or anything to promote, to get in touch with us, and we always will have an open mic.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Really appreciate all your efforts and time towards the veterans and the elderly and everything else you do.
Yeah, man. So how long have you been on? We're going to talk about veterans this morning, and we're going to chat with Steve over at Warrior Soar, who was on with us last year in studio. But what do you do on Barrie Area Veterans Council? How long have you been involved with that?
So I joined I transferred up from Groton, Connecticut, where I was stationed. I was a member of the Elks down there in Groton. Transferred up to the Barrie Elks about a year ago, and I got approached by the Exalted Ruler and says, would you like to be a part of the Barrie Area Veterans Council? I said, I don't know what it is, but sure. Anything to help out veterans, it has to do with veterans, I'm all in. And he hooked me up with the previous Veterans Committee Council member from the Elks, Frank, and brought me down, did a couple interviews, or sat down in a couple meetings, and I've been all in ever since. And I've really, really enjoyed. I've never seen anything like it, where you've got the three big organizations coordinating. When I say the three big organizations, I'm talking about the American Legion, the VFW. Actually, it's four: the VFW, the Elks, and the Boy Scouts, along with the city of Barrie. And it's amazing.
How about that parade?
Oh, the parade was great. I wasn't in the parade. I worked the kitchen, so I was kind of the background. But watch them line up, watching all the Boy Scouts and out there. I wish we had more Girl Scouts out there. Help the Girl Scouts that are out there are listening. Know for next year to jump on in and be a part of it's the Scouts. It's not the Boy Scouts, it's not the Girl Scouts. It's the Scouts.
Will we do this next year?
I don't know that Barrie's going to do it. Sometimes they move the parade around.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll come out soon. I think Rutland maybe a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly where it was a few years ago, but
okay.
But no, I'm all in wherever they need for sure.
What's your story? You're not looking at you. You're not a World War II veteran.
I am not. I'm a submarine veteran. I've been in the Navy for the last 26 years. Retired December of 2021. I loved every minute of it, and the story there is one to be told for sure. Before I get into that, I want to do a shout out to all the veterans out there. I want to say Happy Veterans Day, and to their spouses, and particularly the spouses that are alone because their veteran paid the ultimate sacrifice. I want to thank all of you guys, and my heart goes out to you.
Yeah, and their kids.
And their kids, for sure.
And
it goes on and on.
And their family.
Right.
Which is, some of us have large families. Yeah. So what's your when you say Groton? Yeah, I'm thinking that's the sub base. That's water.
That is Navy. That is. I've been in Navy for 26 years.
Wow.
The funny story is I was a high school dropout. So all you kids out there that have dropped out of high school, don't think it's the end of the world. I strongly encourage that you continue with your high school and get your education. I kick myself every time for not, but I got the opportunity. I got called by a recruiter, and he says, "How would you like to join the Navy?" I said, "I would love to join the Navy." I said, "But I'm a high school dropout." He goes, "What if I told you I could get you in?" I hung up on him. I drove right down, and I stepped in there.
Really?
Yeah, and I go, "So, what is this all about? How come I'm a high school dropout?" Well, 21%. Now this is back in '95. 1% of the Navy are allowed to be what they called uneducated, high school dropouts.
I hate that word.
Yeah, but the requirement was within your first 4 years you had to get your GED. Otherwise, you couldn't continue your service.
Okay.
So obviously, I got my GED. But the funny thing is, he goes, "What do you want to do?" Well, I'm Top Gun there, so I want to fly airplanes. I want to fly jets. He goes, "Well, you're a high school dropout. Let's try something else." I said, "Well, I want to be a Navy SEAL. That looks pretty cool on TV." He goes, "Well, you're about 100 pounds soaking wet." He goes, "How about this? How about submarines? It's just like flying, except underneath the water, and you get to work with Navy SEALs." I said, "Sign me up." So the bottom line is, here I am 26 years later. 27 now. I've been retired for almost a year now. And I made Master Chief. I make a very good retirement. How many people out there at the age of 46 can say they're retired making $40,000, $50,000 a year? I mean, run out there, do it, get it done. You'll enjoy it. It makes everybody grow up
Fast. So you literally, figuratively, you dove right in.
That's it. There's a lot to be said with work ethic.
What was the training like right off, being a new Navy recruit? Were you a little overwhelmed?
I was nervous. I was scared. Just like any young kid going in. I mean, I was a little older. I was 21 when I went in. I wasn't 18, so I got a little. And on top of being 18, I was a high school dropout, so I had some time in the workforce.
Yeah.
Before I came in, so I had a little bit of that. But you're not used to someone in your face,
Yes.
yelling at you, stuff like that.
Yes.
Things are a little different nowadays. Good, bad. There's difference of opinions. I'm a firm believer that the recruiting process, the boot camp process, should be a break you down, build you up kind of thing. But with society the way it is nowadays, it's more of a training aspect and going through it on a more calmer level than it was back in the day of in your face, break it down, make sure you can handle the stress.
Right. 46 years old.
47 now.
47.
Actually, no, 48. 48.
You are more on the spectrum of the younger crowd when it comes to the VFW, the American Legion. We need to get our younger veterans in those doors.
We do. Unfortunately, if we don't get the younger veterans in there, eventually those doors are going to have to close. I mean, they're not going to have the support they need. And a lot of people have this stigmatism where the VFW, the American Legion, stuff like that are just bars for vets to go to.
Yeah, right.
It's much more than that.
Right.
It's much more than that. You know, I had an old mass chief that told me that you can solve a lot of problems over a beer and a bar stool, which is a very, very true statement. However, the beer doesn't have to be included. There's one thing to sit there, have a soda, a water, and talk to one of your fellow comrades from all branches of service right next to you. One of the things I wanted to hit on was you get that guy next to you that you're talking to, that could be helping him. That could be helping you. That idea of someone sitting at home alone, doing nothing, being alone, that increases your depression, chances of suicide. It's a terrible thing. So get out there, meet your organizations, become a part of it, become involved. Anybody can help out in the Barrie Veterans Council.
Well, I mean, pre-COVID, in talking with Ron and Chuck and Mel and others, Chip, Payne, there was already an issue with trying to increase and sustain membership in some of these service organizations. Then throw COVID into the mix, and we're all trying to recoup in many different ways.
Yep.
But man, the doors are wide open, and this is the time. Not only a message for all veterans of all ages, but also for their spouses, their family members. Encourage your veteran family members, no matter what state they live in. It's not just Vermont. To take that first step and go through the door.
Absolutely.
And meet fellow veterans.
And even if your veteran's passed, if your veteran has passed and you, the spouse or the children, want to be involved, all you got to do is take that DD-214 to the American Legion, to the VFW, and you can become a member.
Yeah.
You're a member of the auxiliaries or the Sons of Legionnaires.
Yeah. Steve England, Lisa England. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great people.
So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you're, I'm not sure how far back, I don't know if you can go back as far as your grandfather, but definitely your father, your mother, if they served and you have their DD-214, you can come in and you can be an auxiliary member. And I'll tell you, the auxiliaries for these foundations do so much work, so much good. They are really almost like your military at home. They're deploying. The bottom line is your wife and your family. They're the backbone of the family. They're keeping everything together.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with the auxiliaries and the Legionnaires. They are the backbone of these organizations. They put so much work and effort within the organization that it's amazing.
Yeah. Very, very true statement. One of the things that I think about when what we're talking about right now on this Veterans Day, a word that we hear so much. Well, it's not really a word, but an acronym that we hear so much in our culture, and it's all over our phones. It's all over the TV. It's all over the internet. Is PTSD, a horrible result of being in action. And so many soldiers are dealing with this undercover in so many different ways, trying to hide it, trying to hold down a job, trying to be a good family member, a good husband, a good wife, and dealing with these demons that are affecting them in so many different ways. And sometimes it's almost impossible to hide. And in other ways, we have some great actors and actresses out there that can cover this up or try to as much as possible. And then you throw in suicide among veterans into the mix, and that connection to PTSD. And maybe that's a whole different podcast. But man, it's like I wonder what veterans say and how they feel about this question. What's worse? What's a worse, for lack of a better term, disease? PTSD or pride?
It's a tough answer. It's a tough thing to answer because, everyone wants to seem strong. We're military. We're the supporters of. Of course. We defend our country. We don't want to admit that we're suffering.
Exactly.
And the hardest thing is getting that help. And that's where your organizations are out there. The VFW, the American Legion, the VA. I mean, great organizations to reach out, get help. You don't have to tell anybody. Yeah. You don't have to tell anybody at all. You just go get the help. The only people that really need to know are you and the counselor. Or it could be you sitting on that bar stool having a Coca-Cola talking to someone who's been through what you've been through.
Yeah. And you can say anything.
Right.
You can say anything.
Anything at all.
If the conversations and the sense of real understanding inside those doors is totally different than this restaurant down here or on the sidewalk or anything.
And PTSD is much more than just being in combat. Yeah. You could be that sailor or Marine or Army guy that found that veteran that committed suicide, or that sailor or Marine or Air Force, that military member that committed suicide.
Sure.
That could put you into a state of PTSD.
Yeah.
I was in a collision when I was on board the USS Philadelphia. I think it was back in 2006, and it was a collision. Yep. Okay. The chances of us sinking, losing a whole ship, very good possibility. I mean, we were within inches. But I never thought of having PTSD. But I was waking up every morning at 2 a.m. I had no...
Oh, isn't that the magic hour, though?
No anger, no anything. It didn't matter what time I went to bed. I'd go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. 2 a.m. I woke up. And I was trying to figure out why I can't sleep. They sent me to sleep specialists and everything else. They tried medication. And my wife said, wasn't that the time the collision was? And it snapped. And I went in there and talked to the counselors about it, and they said, that's probably exactly what it was. Your mind is set that at 2 a.m. something bad is going to happen.
This is neurochemistry.
Right.
This is memory that's subliminal, that's so deep in the circuitry in our brains that we don't even know.
Exactly. And everyone thinks PTSD, they got anger issues, they've got depression issues, it doesn't take much to put you into a scenario where that's going to click. Just your upbringing, the type of family upbringing you get, PTSD.
Sure.
So.
Wow. How are you pushing through that? Are you still dealing with that?
Not as often as I was. Things seem to be getting better. Like I said, it's been quite a few years, and I think just the working through it.
What about drugs and booze, and that how that comes into the picture?
The big thing with drugs and booze is they're all pretty much depressants. So I always encourage people to think about that when they're thinking about using drugs or booze for trying to cope with something.
Or fall asleep.
Right.
And there's falling asleep, and then there's staying asleep, and those are two different things.
A lot of people swear about the what's that drug that make you help you fall asleep?
Melatonin.
Yeah. I know people that take it religiously, and I've had doctors tell me, you can take it, but what your body naturally makes, if you're taking it, your body's going to think you don't need it anymore, and its body's going to stop making it. So
interesting.
I'm not a doctor, don't know true facts about any of that kind of stuff, but always think about that stuff. And if you're going to do something, I always encourage to do it the healthy way.
Yeah.
Working out,
Right.
Communicating, talking about things, getting things off your chest. Don't hold it in.
Join the VFW.
Join the VFW. Talk to your shipmates beside you, and I mean, it's an amazing thing that just that camaraderie of talking to people that have been through what you've been through are going to help.
Go to the VA. You don't have to be walking into the VA with blood coming out of your arm.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Now, you hear a lot of bad things about the VA. Since I've retired, the VA in Vermont is phenomenal. I tell you what, they put more time and effort talking to me than any doctor has ever done my entire life. I mean, they actually sit down and they'll listen to you, and it doesn't matter. They don't try and kick you out in 15 minutes. No, you're about time's up. I mean, I've sat in the office for over an hour just going over what's wrong, how can we fix things, going over things. The VA's been magical here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that you don't have to go to White River Junction either. You can go right up to Burlington. There's a VA facility up in Burlington. It's amazing up there. I mean, the facilities are awesome.
I just out of curiosity, and my dad was a Navy veteran, passed away at 90 years old, but used to share with me some of his training, and served during the Korean War. USS Philadelphia. What the hell did you hit?
We got ran over by a Turkish freighter. We were on the surface, going from point A to point B, and a Turkish freighter. We thought it was dead in the water, and it wasn't, and ran right over us.
Okay. How deep do these subs go?
Deep. I can't disclose exact information on how fast submarines go, how deep they can go, but they can go much deeper than 400 foot of water.
Did you ever, especially in the early days, did you ever get a little bit of claustrophobia or panic, or what's it like down there?
Well, the closest I ever came to claustrophobia, my first boat was the USS Henry M. Jackson, which is a Trident submarine out of Washington. And that's much bigger than our fast-tack submarines that I was on in Connecticut. And when I got off the Henry M. Jackson and showed up to the Connecticut, and my shoulders were pretty much touching each bulkhead, I was like, this is a little tighter.
Yeah.
A little nervous. But within about, I don't know, a week is just like home, and you can move around with no problems. Just like with anything, you adapt and overcome. Once you get used to something, it's your day to day.
Sure.
It is what it is.
It's incredible. I want to see if we can connect in with Warrior Soar, which is an incredible organization. Good
morning.
Hey, is it Steve?
This is.
Hey, Steve, we got you on the air live here on Aired Out. Thanks so much for coming on, bud. We appreciate it.
Oh, you absolutely. Really glad to be part. Thank you for the invitation.
I don't know if you've caught any of this show so far, but we have J.R. Rehbach with us, who is a Navy veteran of 27 years and retired, local guy who is very active with the Barrie Area Veterans Council, and we've just been pushing not only membership into some of the various service organizations that support veterans, but also talking about a little bit of PTSD versus pride, and just trying to get our veterans more actively involved with, frankly, their family. Which understands them and will understand them better than any of us civilians on the outside. It's a whole different bag. I know you'd agree.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Tell me about this incredible organization, Warriors Soar, who you are, what you do. I know you were in here last year on veterans, but what this organization does. You're right here in Vermont, right?
Absolutely. Yes. It's headquartered here in Shelburne, Vermont. Major Shannon Blake, U.S. Army retired, came to the understanding after several tours of duty He remained friends with several soldiers under his command as they returned home, and found out quickly that there was a need, uh, an important need, that he decided to take some action. Basically, in a nutshell, Warriors Soar: support, outreach, assistance, recovery. That's the acronym, Warriors Soar. I would encourage anybody right now who's listening to visit warriorssoar.org and get some real good information. We've got a website that's set up that really does describe what the program's all about. Uh, I think the thing to share mostly is that soldiers recognize, especially the combat veterans, recognize the need for more than your traditional, okay, your tour is done, you're back, you're retired, now what? Reintegration into society, as people like us on the here in the community don't fully understand, is not always easy. The horrors of war that scar many people, and it goes uncovered for a long time. And unfortunately, one of the outcomes is suicide. And Shannon, because he experienced that with one of his own, decided to put into action a plan that would work with soldiers, combat vets, the VA system, and families, to help soldiers reintegrate back into the community through a variety of activities that they can come and share and be part of something that is meaningful and is really designed to acknowledge where that combat veteran has been and where he's going on his next journey.
What types of activities are we talking about?
Sure, that's a great question. Right now, you're speaking with me because we've got several guys out in the community this morning. Here in Burlington, Warriors Soar is putting on you guys have supported us. We want to say thank you. And today, it's free hot dog a day. Grumpy's Hot Dogs, a veteran-owned operation connected with Warrior Soar, is going to be here at Best Buy in Burlington from 11 to 4, acknowledging all the support that the community has given. The activities that Shannon and the several volunteers that work with the organization have put on: golf outings every week for vets. There's sailing on Lake Champlain, ice fishing opportunities in the wintertime together. There's a program that vets who and their families. It's not just vets, because some vets are no longer with us. Family members of vets who here in Vermont may struggle with heating costs in the wintertime. There's a program that Brian Decatur, part of the board member here on Warrior Soar, has run, that he spends 10 months out of the year chopping, stacking, and splitting firewood to deliver to families in need. So many recreational opportunities. One of the big ones, I think, is a real good opportunity for folks. The Boston Baseball Fantasy Camp, and Warrior Soar typically sends 5 individuals to the fantasy camp every year. So there's a lot of fundraising that goes on. There's a lot of community activity that goes on to not only raise awareness, but again, opportunities for vets to come together and be part of something where, occasionally, and we've seen it, and it's unfortunate that too many vets are left behind. And I don't mean to be light with those words. It's the community is rallying around the vets, and want to say it's an opportunity for all of us to say thank you and acknowledge that every day is Veterans Day.
Have you wow, so well said, man. Damn. Have you had a chance to run a bus down to any memorials anywhere?
I know that that's been in the works. I can't right now. There are so many activities going on. There's Texas golf tournament. We just finished one in Georgia. In September, I was out in Ohio with another one. Again, raising awareness, and so Warrior Soar working to develop chapters, and we have chapters in Ohio, Texas, Georgia, Massachusetts, and Florida, and always continuing the good work of spreading the news. And I again, I right now I don't think that's on the plate, but it certainly sounds like that makes a lot of good sense.
And this started here in Vermont?
It started here in Vermont again. Major Shannon Blake, U.S. Army retired. He's been involved, I think 2016, and it could be 2017, when the organization started in his home office, and he's grown it by leaps and bounds with the all of the work and the hard work about that comes about by organizing volunteers. The majority of folks are people who are veterans and veterans' wives. We have, I am not a veteran, but I can tell you this, the organization itself is something that I wish my father would have had an opportunity to be part of. My father served in Korea, and I know my dad would have benefited from an organization like this that would have been someplace for him to go and talk, because it was never talked about. And I was so curious when I was growing up. And when I learned about these guys, it was an opportunity for me to give back a little bit and become part of something that was meaningful in our community.
Where's the home base?
Home base is in Shelburne, Vermont.
All right. Man, this is it's absolutely amazing that this has grown into other states. So needed. Just absolutely. You and Shannon must be so proud.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm honored to be able to be a part of something that is meaningful for so many veterans and their families. And I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come and share a little bit more about Warrior Soar. And again, I would encourage anybody to get out onto the website, warriorsoar.org. Any veteran out there that's listening today, you apply for membership, you're a member of Warrior Soar. That is, it's something that I would highly encourage. And for members of the community looking for ways to give back too, plenty of volunteer opportunities. And again, encouraging folks to remember that we live our lifestyles today because of people who went before us. And I'll be forever grateful for that.
I see here on your list hiking, fishing, sailing, as you mentioned, snowshoeing, kayaking, sporting events, concerts, the baseball fantasy camp. Tell me about that. What do you guys run down to Fenway?
Now, actually, this happens in Florida. It is a week-long camp.
Bradenton?
It could be Fort Myers. I think it is down at Little Fenway, and JetBlue Park. I believe it's before spring training happens for the Red Sox, and the Boston Fantasy Camp is put on by professional organizers and camp organizers, professional umpires, typically veterans. Will go. A good friend of mine, actually, Daryl Graham, who does operate the Grumpy's Hot Dogs that I mentioned earlier. He's a professional umpire, and he's gone down and umped. And it's an opportunity for, just like anybody, if you want to participate in those baseball camps, well, this is for soldiers and for veterans, I should say. And it's just wonderful to see how they come back from that camp full of energy and gratitude for the opportunity that Warrior Soar provided them.
That's the biggest payback right there, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just the smiles on their face.
Disabled military veterans and their family. It's so great that you guys say and their family, because in many regard, they're the unsung heroes. They're the ones that
Yeah, they go quietly along.
They're carrying a lot of weight.
They carry a lot of weight, and that's in many cases, in a lot of situations, caregivers are overlooked, and no, we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Included in all of the activities are family members, so that is a yeah. You thank you for that. Thank you for acknowledging that.
What about businesses, organizations?
Oh my God,
We kind
number
of,
of
yeah, please. We kind of alluded to that a little bit, but do give some love here.
Sure, absolutely. I would tell you that here. Let me get some of the.
And we should also say that any businesses or organizations that are listening right now that want to get involved with Warrior Soar, who can
Mhm.
give of something to veterans and get organized and connected with you, we urge them to get on warriorsoar.org right here in Vermont and get in touch with you, Steve.
Absolutely. I would highly encourage that. Again, we've had wonderful support from the community here and elsewhere too, but locally here in Burlington, it's Mackenzie Meats providing all of the food that we're going to be putting out there today. Baker Distributing, another one. Gonzo Sports Bar, where it's the indoor golf during the wintertime. Champlain Country Club in Swanton to help provide golf. The different sailing operations that are around. So the Von Trapp Brewing Company, the Mill River Brewing Company, it goes on and on. So yes, PT360, another supporter. Shelburne Iworks, Rice Lumber, Vermont Teddy Bear, where today supporters will be able to come and stuff a bag full of Vermont Teddy Bear pajamagrams for a donation to Warrior Soar. So Green Mountain Coffee, again, Prohibition Pig, it goes on and on. The number of folks that have rallied behind Warrior Soar.
That's unbelievable, Steve. It's so fantastic. Listen, and I said to JR when he walked in here, I'll say the same thing to you. You had a great point earlier. You said every day should be Veterans Day. I say to you guys, if you ever have anything that, and I said this to you last year, and Raylene and I talk about this all the time, if there's anything that you guys have that's going on that you need to promote, or for whatever reason you need a microphone to promote the great things that you're doing, you've got an open door and a live hot mic anytime you want it, pal.
Dude, I really appreciate that. And I'll tell you what, it was so nice to get Raylene's email, and because we're doing a lot of stuff up here on the public access television and radio stations too, and just to know that we've got a friend down there in you. It means the world to us. We appreciate that very much.
Please give a shout out to Shannon for us, and we appreciate everything you do, Steve. Thanks so much for coming on.
And celebrate every veteran today.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, pal. What do you think of that, JR?
Organization.
What's that?
What an amazing organization.
Amazing.
That's awesome. I don't know if they do, if they had someone that lived in the Barrie area that could come down and be a part of the Veterans Council. That'd be freaking awesome.
I'll go with you, man.
There you go.
Let's jump in the car and run down there. We'll find it. We'll find a way. We'll find a day. But it'd be great. Yeah, isn't it amazing?
It is.
Right here, look at all these chapters they've started, and they started right here in Vermont.
All it takes is someone to care.
Yeah.
Someone to care, a little bit of work ethic, and it's amazing how fast things can grow. Everybody wants to support veterans. Not everybody knows how.
Yeah.
And now everyone's willing to reach out to figure it out. But once you reach out to them and pull them in,
and look at this guy. He's not even a veteran.
No.
Look at everything everything he's got invested in, the passion behind it.
It's amazing. Amazing.
To assist in the healing and reintegration, and that was a big word that he used, of our wounded heroes through SOAR, which, again, is an acronym for Support, Outreach, Assistance, and Recovery. And recovery is a big one there.
It's huge. It's huge.
It's all the other stuff, yes, but moving on with life.
Getting to a point where you can actually live and enjoy life.
Yes, enjoy it.
Right.
Which you are well deserving of you've sacrificed so much for your country, even if it was just time. Doesn't have to be the battlefield.
That's it. That's it.
And your families. You deserve to live out the rest of your life, whether it's a few years or whether it's decades, as a happy guy or lady.
The key is don't stop. Once you retire, or get out and retire from whatever the second job is, don't stop living. You gotta find those things to do, because if you start being that guy that does nothing but sit on the couch, watch TV, and boozing,
whatever,
that's when your time is going to start counting down. Get out there, do things, be around people, keep life charging.
Yeah. It's incredible how, I think of the physical disabilities, but the mental disabilities are equally as profound.
They are. The hard part about the physical disabilities, a lot of the guys that have physical disabilities got both. And they're dealing with both.
Frustrating.
But it's all.
I can't even fathom.
A quick plug out there for veterans too, or the not only the veterans but their spouses and family members. If you want to get a small experience today, Montpelier's having a parade.
Okay.
And when at the end of that parade, the Montpelier VFW is having an open house.
Okay.
So if you're curious and you want to walk in those doors and ask a veteran about becoming a member or participating, even if you're not a member, what can you do? Feel free to stop down there and ask those questions.
And you don't have to walk through these doors with the veteran hat on or veteran tattooed on your forehead. You could just go in there.
Yeah, and listen.
Just go in there.
Yeah, it's a first step.
We just heard from M&T Bank right down the road here on North Main Street in Barrie that they are collecting holiday cards for our military veterans and offering up somewhat of a challenge here to ask the community to create a card, write some kind of message on it to our military members. No envelopes are required, no postage or anything. Just simply hand your card to anyone at the M&T Bank branch in not only Vermont, but also in Maine and New Hampshire. And they are going to get it properly packaged up into an envelope. They're going to take care of the postage, and they're going to get these cards into the hands of our men and women overseas.
I've received these cards before on deployment, and a lot. I'll tell you, it's amazing. They lay them out on a submarine. They lay them out on the mess decks, right? Mess decks, chow hall. It's where you eat. You get to pick them up. You read them, and they're all so heartfelt. I mean, they actually. The sailors, they appreciate these. A lot of times they don't put them out to like halfway through the deployment time frame, or the holiday itself, just to give everybody that ray of sunshine. And it's an amazing thing. I mean, people really do appreciate the effort that goes into them.
Yeah. Lily and I are going to be doing this either this afternoon or tonight, but the deadline to get your card over to M&T Bank right here in Barrie or in Maine or in New Hampshire at any branch is the 14th, which is this coming Monday.
Yes.
That's the deadline. So it's a little bit of a short notice, but what better day than today to do something like this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Exactly where it's going to go. It's going to go into the hand of a veteran. So this is wonderful. I'm so glad that they came in here this morning and told us about that. Man, it is. I'm at a loss for words at how impressed I am with, and it's much more than impressed, but how awed I am by your story, your willingness to come in here, have a microphone shoved in your face, having never done this before, and to speak as well as you spoke so profoundly about your passion behind all of our service members and doing well and doing right for them on their behalf going forward. We have a job to do, every single person. I don't give a shit where you land on the political spectrum. No matter who you are, what town you live in, what your religious beliefs are, or where you stand or fall politically, red, blue, I don't care. You have a duty, you have an obligation, you have a responsibility to do right and do well and honor any veteran of any war, active duty, non-active duty, disabled, non-disabled, doesn't matter. Take your hat off when the flag passes in front of you today. Stand at attention and honor our veterans, I think is the message that we go away with today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a day of respecting our Americans. It's everybody. God bless America.
Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
We're going to do this again?
Absolutely.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
JR, absolute pleasure meeting you. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. And we know that for many, it is not necessarily a happy day where we say Happy Veterans Day. But respect our veterans. Do something. Even if you don't have a flag to fly in your front yard, post something on social media. If you see a veteran that has any kind of recognition on their body, a hat, a coat, whatever, anywhere in our community, take a second. Not just today, not just on November 11th. Take a second and just say, thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay, for all your support.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much for coming in here. And we'll be back.
Easy day.
Yeah.